video is 100% in everything that we do. I first started going down the path of doing video when I was with my previous brokerage. I was the tech ambassador, so to teach agents content. And so I started creating content to educate buyers and educate sellers on how to sell their home. And I found a couple tools from that perspective. And I was like, oh, okay. This is before I found Real Geeks. So I started down the path with BombBomb at that point. And I quickly noticed, like in the drip campaigns that I had at the places I was at, I think back then I was at KW. We had E-Edge, we had Playster. Let me be very blunt. The content sucked. The emails were terrible. They were not emails to convert. Here's your 36 touch campaign. That said nothing. Right? And I wanted content that would make people pick up the phone and call me. Then what's the best way of doing that versus creating content yourself? And so I started going down that path with BombBomb and creating this really huge library. And then I put all of my drip campaign emails in there. And then I started learning more things how I could hack BombBomb, right? So think about it from this perspective. Let's say you're talking to a client in the middle of a transaction, and you know that client is not so easy with the contracts and not understanding. I started doing screen recordings of really explaining paragraph by paragraph. And what I found is that I was slowly building trust with individuals, that I knew what I was talking about, and I was willing to take the time to educate them, right? So it went from being content for one individual to everyone needs to know about, okay, down payment assistance. Everyone needs to know about the option period. Everyone needs to know, et cetera, et cetera. And then once I decided, hey, okay, yeah, I need a better experience here in my CRM and my website, I finally found Real Geeks, and I started going down that path. And then when you guys introduced video, woo, I ate that up, because now I can start texting those videos out, and I can start putting emails and create several drip campaigns from that perspective. If you create a really good email with a really great video, and all you're doing is getting them to do this, raise their hand and say, I'm interested. And you can track and see when these folks are clicking on these videos. You can track and see when they open up your emails in Real Geeks, right? So when they're doing that, now you know out of the 100 leads that got this email, here's my 25 I need to talk to.
What I've learned in a secondary market is there's a very, very entrenched groups of entitled agents. So they think they own the market. Who are you? You're an interloper. You're coming in. And you cannot let that scare you. You can't let those people intimidate you. I did for a couple, like maybe a year, and then I realized very quickly, like, listen, obviously I'm here. I'm going to do a job. People like me. They want to use me. And I'm just going to stop being intimidated by you. I just am going to plow ahead and do what I do, how I do it, and see where I go. And it took me about 14 months till I was number one.
The real truth to the amazing thing about Real Geeks is the simplicity of the platform and how easy you can immediately set it up out of the box, and how potent it is and how well it can create what you need, which is leads, right? So we wanted a platform. When we were looking for platforms, we wanted a platform that we could capture names from. We didn't want just, we didn't want to just provide a search tool. We wanted something that someone could actually sign up for and use right out of the gate.
Are you running your own paid search ads?
We are, yeah. We're doing it. We did it. I set it up originally 10 years ago, and I did all these long keywords. I think I have running right now, it might be like 500,000 keywords. And the way I did this was I came up with like all the keywords of things people would type. And I did some research and figured it out. And it's probably something I should refresh. But, I found all those keywords. And then I built like a Excel spreadsheet. And then I dumped my towns in my area, my towns and my zip codes and my cities into the front end of that. So that long keyword became even longer, and it doubled up, and then you end up with 500,000 keywords. And when someone types in that exact thing, Google likes it because that's exactly what you're looking for, and Google connects you right up. And then the beauty is you dump all that into Google, and Bing knows they're like always chasing after Google, so they'll let you take your Google keyword stuff and just migrate it out to the other side. So But once again, you don't have to do this. You can pay Real Geeks once again, like the website, you guys are incredibly generous with what you charge to manage a keywords account.
If your one IDX has 50 cities in it, unfold the IDX and put it out there. And if you've watched the other episodes we talked about, I like to have links for all the cities that are there, and I like to subdivide those cities into different lot styles and different house styles, and I want to have those links out there because the long tail keyword searches, somebody's going to type in homes in Plano, Texas with a pool. Is Google going to send that person to a site that has a box that says good luck finding it yourself, or a site that has a link already defined that says here's the homes in Plano with a pool?
If you have ever typed a question into Google and not gotten a good response, then that's a page that you should create. So, I mean, you could probably interpret this another way. If a user has ever asked you or if a client has ever asked you a question and you thought to yourself, yeah, that's a decent question, like, you probably should create a page for it, because you should either say, oh yeah, there's a web page for that, here it is, and also here's the answer.
Well, if you have, to your point, if you have like keywords everywhere, or anything that shows you what the trending keywords are, and you type in your city homes for sale, it will show you like 15 different varieties of that search. My biggest page every month, usually month over month, is mother-in-law plans. I had no idea that so many people wanted to be in multi-generational houses. And I was trying to be PC at the time, and I didn't call it mother-in-law. I named it like en-suite, second suite sort of house. It didn't rank. Nothing happened. And I finally looked at the Google Trends, and it was like very clear mother-in-law. And as soon as I changed it, boom. So it's that sort of test and release, see what happens.
Yeah.
Game the system a little bit.
A lot of people think of social media and it's like, well, I've got to do Facebook ads, and it's an advertisement, like a billboard of yourself or your production or your listings. And I'm sure there are people having success with that. That didn't ever set right with how I like to do business. Billboards, look at me. So I really believe in adding layers of value to your community. And I kind of stumbled upon this as a way to generate business, because in my community, my neighborhood is a master plan community of about, 7,000 homes. And, my kids went to the schools there. We're very involved with the different sports organizations and the HOA. And, if you're involved and you're authentic, just your posts in the different like neighborhood Facebook groups or the Circle C gardening group, or all of these different things for a neighborhood, they're an opportunity for you to be genuine and make connections with your neighbors and your community. So it's less of a billboard approach, more of a genuine participant in the community.
You're doing all of this yourself, so you don't have like VAs or anyone else in your
for this. For this, I mean, I understand the VA thing, and I do have. We have an amazing operations manager, Valerie, and she will do some posting. Right, but that's more on the brokerage side. We're a real company. We do real things, like the things people expect to see from a real estate company. But on my personal social media, I could never have someone else do it. It's my voice is the one that matters. It's me posting that ridiculous scrambled egg mess that I made. You can't outsource that and have the authenticity and the results. That's not for this.
In the early days of email, it was this way. Not everyone even has one, but if I've got one, I can reach anyone on the planet that I have an email address for, right? Well, we all know there have been some restrictions there. There's junk and there's spam and there's boxes and all that stuff. Well, now that's starting to happen with text messaging, right? In the early days of text, I would tell my agents, text, call then text. Text has almost 100% read rate. Yeah. Why would we not do this? Text, follow up. Then there was the battle between bulk group texting and solo one-to-one texting. Okay, we're learning that this is a little bit better than that, but this is still worth it because we don't have enough time. So there was all that. Now we're realizing, a lot like email. Remember back in the day, if you had a phone number, you could call anyone on the planet. Then there was unlisted numbers, right? This is something that happens in every technology. So now we're finding, okay, text messages are not everyone gets read, everyone gets delivered. As a matter of fact, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and these people are now saying, we won't even send your messages anymore. Yep. It's not that they won't get it. We won't even let it go out. Right. If you're being an idiot with our network. So that's annoying. Can we just all agree that sucks?
And it's very similar to the road that we've traveled with email.
Yeah. Well, and that's my point. Even on the telephone,
Right.
telephone, email, cell phone calls, and then you think about, we can talk about it later if you want, the dialers and things about like
I want to mention
business to
that
business,
right now,
business to consumer.
I think that's an important conversation, one that, as we were prepping for the show, I hadn't immediately thought about. But I do know that under TCPA, there's some very heavy fines that will be leveled against people that are sort of incorrectly using dialers. So,
so TCPA is Consumer Protection.
Yep.
Telephone Consumer Protection Act.
There you
yes.
go. Yep. And then just, do not call is something we need to think about, right? So I'm just trying to parallel all the places that in a business like mine, or maybe like yours, this stuff matters, right? You can do this, but you can't do this. If you do this, then you don't get to do this other stuff anymore either. We will take this resource away from you. We're all trying to find the most cost-efficient, time-efficient, effective way to actually help people. And what we had discussed with a couple of the other kind of, super users of the platform was, how creative can I be with rewording that stop language? Do you have any guardrails to give us, or where are we?
Yeah, we started getting real creative, and we got told no. And so, like our first one was, stop me if you don't want me to text you anymore.
Yeah,
and
that was not good enough.
Got next. So we actually had a fire to put out as far as deliverability goes overnight that we had to do. So we ended up just using the language verbatim of reply stop to unsubscribe to try and put out the fire. We ended up doing that. And so now we're actually experimenting with other ways to say that language. And one of the ones that's really interesting is, if you prefer I call you, reply stop to opt out.
And in case people aren't picking it up,
Yeah.
you're fighting the good fight with Twilio and the carriers on behalf of the customers, trying to figure out what we can get away with while also trying to maximize deliverability.
Exactly.
So,
well, that was part of one of our previous conversations. It's like, look, I know that you want me to sell a bunch of houses.
And I don't want to put this language on any more than you want to know.
This is not the fun part of your job.
Right.
You stay a Real Geeks user forever because you sell a ton of houses with Real Geeks. So we're all on the same team. But a bunch of us that were wrestling with this had discussed that idea of, hey, stop if you'd rather me call you than text you. Feels like that's one they probably won't love either. But I do appreciate that Real Geeks is trying to find the sweet spot and the tolerance. And then I'm sure they'll move the goalpost and that'll change and we'll have to find it again. But for those of you watching or listening that are like, I'm not a part of these conversations, just know some of the more aggressive users, and more aggressive meaning doing whatever we can to maximize the efficiency and ROI on our platform and lead cost.
The leading edge guys
are trying to figure this out. And I don't even put myself necessarily in all those categories. I tend to tinker less with the technology and more with the marketing. But we all want the same outcome, which is a strong ROI, the platform work for us, and go do what we love to do. Does that line up?
That's exactly right.
chat on the site.
Yeah. So we have gone through seasons of turn it off, focus on this other thing, turn it back on, focus on this other thing.
Yep.
We just kicked it back on a few weeks ago and kind of re-equipped, retrained, re-emphasized with the team how valuable it is. It does require presence and attention to be real-time responsive. And that's a little harder than text is always with me all the time. But there's also some huge advantages to it because you're catching them while they're engaging with the platform, as opposed to they liked a property and went back into a meeting. You know, so there's benefit to all of it. One of my favorite feature ads in all time at Real Geeks was the very first time automated text was added. And that's not what we mean by this automated text. That was when I could tell it, when someone signs up, send them this. So I think it all works well together. I'm not always using every single tool that Real Geeks offers, which I think we're all totally fine with, right? And the reason for that is, if you're going to use it well. I think there's a lot of people that are like, I want this technology to do my whole job for me. And if that's the case, I'm here to tell you, sorry guys, you may not like this. That's not going to work. You also have to work. I think we're actually coming back to where if you're not doing a bit more of that relationship style marketing and some technology innovation comes into your market, if you can't be defended by people being like, no, I've been talking to Dylan for 12 years. He's helped me value my property, protest my taxes. He's gone the extra mile. They've sent they've helped me in ways that these big one-size-fits-all companies, businesses, platforms, technology, whatever, can't do if you don't have that relational capital built up. I think you are highly likely, regardless of what your production, your unit count, your scale is, you could be taken out not only in a year, but in weeks. If all you could do is send out texts that did one thing and you just did 1 million a day, and then someone says, well, you can't send those texts anymore, you're in big stinking trouble. If Google decided to say, we're not running ad campaigns with budgets under 100,000 a month anymore, which they could do, I don't think they will. They could. People, if we're relying only on that, we're in big freaking trouble. So if there's not some diversification and some leverage built off of relationship, I think people are in trouble. And the funny thing to me is people were shouting, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Act like a real business, act like a big business. And now it makes sense that that is how you act like a business at our scale, meaning an agent, a brokerage, a team.